What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we are checking out, my lighting is messed up. We are checking out the Badcat Cougar 50. Let's do it. Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle, and what I do is I take awesome high gain amps, guitars, cabs, speakers, pickups, overdrives. I record them with a simple SM57 setup, and I give you guys the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into East End or thrash riffs, dropsy hardcore riffs, and dudes with weird looks on their face for no real reason, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button on the way out and subscribing so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks! Alright guys, so today we have our very first Badcat amp on the channel. We are checking out the Cougar 50. For the longest time, I never even looked into Badcat amplifiers because they very much seem to appeal to the blues lawyer, dad rock, top 40 radio nerd type of person. I will admit that that impression that I got was born out of ignorance because that's just kind of, you know, the people that I had seen talking about them around the forums and in the Facebook groups and stuff, but I really didn't know anything about them, and I didn't know that they had any high gain offerings. So I stumbled across this amp on the Guitar Center used section for what seemed like a really good price. And from what I could recall, Badcat amps are typically on the pricey side, and this thing popped up at $500. So naturally, I was intrigued. I went ahead and searched the forums to see if I could find any information on it. And basically, what I could find was that the Cougar 50 was Badcat's attempt at making an affordable import model of one of their more expensive amplifiers. And they really only made it for, it looks like, a year or so. They made it for like 1 year, and then they were done with it. I couldn't find a lot of people who actually had good things to say about it, but one reason that I knew that I wanted to get it on the channel is because all the people who had said that they had tried it over at the Gear Page forum said it had too much gain. So if it has too much gain for the nerds over at the Gear Page, then naturally I know that it's something that I'm gonna like because I'm not a weak person. So with that being said, what is it? To my ears, it sounds kind of like a modded Marshall type thing. It is a 50 watt all tube amplifier. It has tons of gain. It has two different channels. It's got a clean channel, which nobody cares about, and then it has a gain channel. And this gain channel is just very, very high gain. It's percussive, it's clear, it sounds really cool. It's got kind of like a modded Marshall thing going on, but definitely its own thing at the same time. So with all that information out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into this thing and see what type of tones we can get out of it. For that intro clip, I was using my LTD Phoenix 200 here with the Seymour Duncan distortion pickup in the bridge, and we had the amp going through my Mesa traditional 412 cabinet with the stock vintage 30s, SM57 on the V30s, and we were boosting it with the Friedman Buxom boost. So let's go ahead, let's kick that boost off, let's dial that gain down. We're gonna put this EQ at noon all the way across the board. There's also a mid boost control here, and this is a steppable control. So it has basically different notches. It's not like a fully dial from 8 o'clock all the way to 5 o'clock type pot like say a standard EQ control is going to be on most amps. We also have a presence over here. We have a reverb control. We're not gonna mess with the reverb at all. So we'll jump into the mid boost. For now, I think I should probably just leave it right here as that's where it seems to be the most balanced. And we're gonna go ahead and kick this thing on and see what we got. All right, so right off the bat, we have a considerable amount of gain and saturation, even with the dial all the way down here at 9 o'clock. So all the way down here at 8 o'clock. So I guess I can kind of see why somebody who was expecting somewhat of a crunchy type overdrive sound out of this amp would be disappointed. We do need some presence pretty much right off the bat though, because it is sounding a little bit muffled. All right, let's dial that gain even lower because at this point we're not even capable of getting like a crunch sound out of it. There it is. Okay, so there apparently is a spot where it just kicks into the next gain stage and really saturates quickly. You just have to keep the gain very, very low in order to get there. All right, so there's your dad rock tone. That's with everything at noon. It sounds pretty good actually. What happens if we boost those mids, boost the treble and the bass a little bit? It kind of has that quacky, low gain, you know, not quite cranked plexi thing going on. But let's bump that gain up a little bit. And it's already starting to fill out quite a bit more. Actually sounds pretty good for that stuff. Let's go ahead and bump that gain up just a step more, and I can already hear the noise coming through the speakers, which means we're probably gonna have more saturation. All right, so that sounds great for the low to mid gain stuff. There's just not a lot of range on that gain control. I guess if you were to want to get a little bit more range out of that gain control, you could put a couple 5751 preamp tubes in, you know, maybe V1 and V2. That way it rolls back the input signal a little bit and gives you a little bit more control over those lower gain tones, a little bit more range before you start getting into the saturation, but that's not what we do here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna push that gain up to about 10 o'clock. That's pretty hot right there. That is a very tight and percussive tone. It sounds really good. One thing that I have noticed with this amp though is that the mids are kind of boxy especially in the low mid region. I guess that's what boxy means, or that's what it means when I say it anyways, is that the low mids are a little congested and it makes it sound just a little bit bloated. So even though it's tight and percussive and it's got a nice clear top end, the mids just don't quite sit right to my ear. I've noticed when you really push the mid control though, it kind of brings in a little bit more of that upper mid bite. All right, so we could probably roll that presence back just a little bit. Let's pull that gain up a little bit more. Let's see if I can basically get away with a high gain tone with no boost for the thrash metal stuff that I like to play. All right, it's definitely tight enough. It's definitely saturated enough. It has the right feel. It's got a very tight feel without feeling overly sterile, I guess, or overly thin. with no overdrive in front. One thing that I noticed, the mid frequency is still kind of boxy, and the presence is just not situated where I typically like it. I would like a little bit more top end sizzle off of this tone. The mid is also very responsive. Once you get it above, we'll go through the range here. We'll dial it back to 9 o'clock. Once you get it above a certain range, it really starts to bring the mids forward. Let's also check out the mid boost, because this adjusts the mid frequency here. We're gonna dial it all the way over to the right if you're, or I guess the left if you're looking at it straight on. Over here, it's gonna be a little bit more low mid focused. Kind of more of a mid scoop thing, what happens when we push those mids up. I like that voicing quite a bit, but again, it's like, I don't think that that would cut very well. It seems like the cutting mid frequencies are completely disappearing when we have it on that setting. Let's bump it up one notch. All right, so probably dial these back a little bit. Again, still more lower I can't get it. Still more lower mid focused than the original setting that we were on, but it has shifted the mids up a little bit. I still don't think that this setting would necessarily cut unless we really had those mids pushed. I'm actually gonna bring that bass frequency up a little bit. All right, so let's bump it up one more notch. This is where we started on. Finally, we're in the uppermost mid boost setting. And honestly, I don't like the way that sounds. You think it would be more upper mid focus, but it seems like we're getting more of an upper mid grind in this setting. I think that's the most balanced out of all the settings. I think the mids sound good right here. The treble is also very touchy. Back here, it's very muffled. We'll dial it up to 11. Sort of coming forward, but not quite yet. Up to 1 o'clock. Getting there, and then once you get up to like 3 o'clock, it gets really harsh. And all of the bass frequencies pretty much disappear. So I think it's best right around that 1 o'clock range. And then finally the presence. Huge difference dialing it down. Let's dial it up to 11 o'clock. All right, 1 o'clock. Again, no boost. This amp is so tight and punchy for no boost. 3 o'clock. Sounds good to me, man. I like the sound of this amp for sure. Balancing the EQ out is a little weird. Dial that gain up just a little bit more. Let's dial it up just a little bit more. Really got some noise coming through the speakers now. So with With the gain that high, the amp is much thicker, but we have lost all of that tight percussive low end that I was gushing about earlier in the video, and the top end has been rolled off quite a bit. So what happens when we hit it with an overdrive? Let's hit it with the Boss SD1 in the standard position here, and let's see what we get out of this. All right, so hitting it like that, we can pull those mids and we can pull the treble back a good bit. Very tight, aggressive, clanky, percussive chugs. Definitely not as percussive as without the overdrive because we're taking a lot of those bass frequencies out, but it's an overall good tone. Let's go back to the Friedman Buxom boost, which is what I had on in the beginning of the video. This will take out less of the low end and will add less of those upper mid frequencies that were kind of clashing with the amp a little bit. That sounds good to me. I like that. It's a little fuller, it's a little meaner sounding overall, and it is very tight and punchy. All right, so I still think I just like it best without a boost. It seems the most open, it seems the most percussive like that. Let's try it with a guitar with active pickups real quick, then we'll try a drop C riff and we'll call it a day on this amp. Okay guys, so I have my LTD Black Metal Phoenix here with the Fishman Modern Ceramic pickup in the bridge. I'm gonna turn this boost off. It's a little harsh on its own, but I bet you in a mix it would be just fine. Finally, let's go down to drop C. Let's play a hardcore riff and see how this thing fares for the heavy stuff. We have no boost. That is really weird for me, but I just think this amp sounds best without it. So here we go, drop C riff. Actually, what I'm gonna do, I have this 7-band EQ right here in front. We're gonna put everything kind of to noon, and I'm gonna push the output from the guitar up a little bit just to get a little bit more saturation. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for me today on the Badcat Cougar 50. What did you guys think about this amp? What do you think about the tones that I got here in this video? Let me know down in the comments, and if you have any sort of experience with this if you have any sort of experience with this amp, if you've ever played it, if you've ever owned it, let me know what your experience was down in the comments, and of course, I'll meet you down there to chat about it because I'm always curious to see what you guys think. If you want to support my channel, affiliate links, including my Sweetwater affiliate link, are down in the description. Anything you click on there greatly helps me move forward, and none of it costs you anything extra. Everybody wins. Or finally, if you want to support the channel, you can consider joining my Patreon community and adding your name to this list of incredible people. I'll love you forever, whether you want me to or not. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time.
You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.